you going to tell me it's not medically necessary when I'm telling you my symptoms and they're all lined up with the symptoms of said thing? Like, more people are constipated now than like I've ever seen. Everything will only get worse from there because it's like the sewer that doesn't get cleaned out. Like,
it's a full-time job. When you're like trying to heal your body, it's like, holy shit, I have 20 check boxes to do every day. Like
our gut literally communicates to our brain to produce happy hormones, to produce motivated hormones.
Your body adapts. You're like, girl, you already have enough cortisol, but I don't need to make any more. And then you're just like in adrenal insufficiency.
I mean, 70% of our immune system's in our gut.
Welcome back to the Female Blueprint podcast. Ladies, buckle up for this one. Today's guest is going to challenge so many of the things that you've been told about your health. I'm joined by my dear friend, Miss Rachel Mae, a functional medicine, nutrition practitioner, and personal trainer. Rachel's story is one that I think so many of you will see yourself in. She's lived through years of being dismissed, misdiagnosed, and told that her labs were normal, all while still struggling with PCOS, gut issues, thyroid symptoms, anxiety, literally the whole list. So after years of struggling, Rachel decided that she was going to settle. After years of struggling, Rachel decided that she wasn't going to settle for Band-Aid fixes anymore. Now she has helped so many women stop following the broken blueprint of conventional care and actually get to the root of their health issues. Rachel, welcome to the Female Blueprint podcast. I cannot wait to dig into this conversation.
Me either. We have so much to talk about, as always.
I know. And that one time that we did an Instagram live and we talked about poop for like 50 minutes, like it was so great.
We could have went longer, actually.
Literally. Yeah. We were like on it and just talking about poop. Like, there's so much.
Everyone's commenting and we're just yapping away, responding. We really could have gone another hour, truly.
I know. And so today we're also probably going to talk about poop. So everybody buckle up for that. Yeah. Rachel, before we dive into the specifics of like PCOS and thyroid and gut health, I want to start at the beginning, your story. You've lived through some of the challenges so many women face, being told that your labs were normal while your body was literally screaming for help. So can you take us back and share what life looked like for you before you became a practitioner?
Yes, my issues started when I was literally 14. Like, that is when actually everything started. I will say it got much worse when I turned like 19, but at the 14 high school years, my period was already messed up. I already had irregular periods. I was already being told to get on birth control. I didn't have skin issues yet, but I did have pretty bad periods compared to like my friends and people I talked to in real time at that time. And I didn't know anything about periods. Like, that was obviously way before the social media thing where everyone is now explaining and talking about period cycles and follicular phase, luteal phase. You don't know anything. All you know is you bleed. I didn't know anything. So I just thought it was normal, I guess. And then I just dealt with that for years. I didn't really do anything. I was young. But then when I turned 19, I out of nowhere got seriously terrible acne. Like terrible. Literally at like 19 years old. So bad that I had no idea what was going on. But I got diagnosed around that time with PCOS. I was told to just go on birth control. I eventually went on Accutane, which 10 out of 10 don't recommend, but I was desperate at the time. And I had irregular periods. I had acne and the whole thing. So I was on Accutane for 6 months, got off Accutane. Acne was clear. I thought life was good. Periods were still messed up. Everyone just said, like every single doctor I talked to said, well, when you have PCOS, you're just going to have irregular cycles for the rest of your life. Cool. So I just was dealing with that and on birth control, got off of birth control and Accutane at the same time. And
oh gosh, perfect storm.
Nightmare. Like, I can remember being like 20. That time is already so weird in your life, but like I was so mentally unwell. I was so dysregulated. I was so depressed, anxious. That's when I was having major panic attacks. All this stuff was happening, like major panic attacks, things that were like debilitating at the time. And it was really bad. But I would also
especially as like a 20-year-old too. Like, you really don't have like a lot of like, I don't know, life issues to like be too worried about at that point. Like, at least 20 years old, I was in college and I was like drinking and partying and like I had like no real responsibilities, but like to have like chronic panic attacks and like anxiety at that age is like so hard.
I know. And my anxiety attacks actually started when I was around like 14, 15. So it was pretty crazy looking back because there wasn't any major stressors, I guess. It was just complete bodily dysregulation, but it all was so interconnected to each other. And then going back to what you said about drinking, I was also drinking, and obviously that was adding the fuel
Well,
to
you're
the.
not supposed to. Are you supposed to drink on Accutane?
No, you're not supposed to drink at all, and I drank the whole time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mind
So,
you guys, I'm sober. I've been sober now for 3 years, which has been freaking awesome. But back then, that was like the thing. Like
yeah.
everyone was drinking. Everyone I knew was drinking at 18, 19, 20. Really terrible. But you're not supposed to drink on Accutane because it's so already messed up for your liver. And I didn't care about my liver when I was 20. I just didn't. Like, I didn't
No.
really understand the significance of it. So all this was going on, and I was just like trashing my liver even more. My liver enzymes were through the roof. They have to test your liver every month on Accutane and all this crazy stuff. Mind you, if you were to get pregnant when you're on something like Accutane, it will literally cause deformities to your child. It's that, like, I was on a serious, serious drug. So
Yeah.
let's like, then obviously getting off of that dysregulated my body even more, and I just like spiraled. But my acne did come back.
Of course.
So
I've
that's
heard
just
it
like
always does.
always does. So that's where I started learning, okay, that didn't fix it. It just helped in the moment, and that was a band-aid. So that's around that time. I feel like when I was like 22, 23, I started to really dive deeper into the more alternative medicine route. I was pretty young when I started looking. There wasn't really much, like, I wasn't able to find a lot of providers or practitioners. And like, I was 23, I didn't really have money to pay for this stuff. As we've talked about so much, you and I, functional medicine stuff can add up
Yeah.
very quickly. The testing, the services, and although I love it and it's something I do now, I understand it's not an investment everybody can make at every point of your life. And eventually I worked with a practitioner, and the first test I did was the GI map, which is the poop test that we
Yes.
all hope, well, maybe not all, that me and you talk about a lot, that
Yeah.
people may be hearing about more. You send in your poop in a little vial and you send it on in. But I found out that I had infection like H. pylori, I had overgrowth bacteria, I had parasites. There was a whole lot going on. My immune system was trashed. But a little bit before that, before my final last straw, I found out that I had an autoimmune condition, Hashimoto's. And so that is Hashimoto's is essentially when the antibodies in your thyroid attack your thyroid and slow it down. And if you don't address it, it progressively gets worse and worse and worse. And you end up having hypothyroid, where your thyroid is so slow. It slows down your metabolism. It affects your weight. It affects your temperature regulation. It's like this whole thing. So I found that out with my Western medicine doctor before I could run labs, like before I was able to order labs, do labs. I told her, I think I have an autoimmune condition. And that was literally just from me doing Google searches at the time. And that was even before AI was crazy how it is now, when you can get all the information at your fingertips.
ChatGPT can diagnose you in a minute.
I know.
Oh.
I'm just like, like looking at my symptoms, and it's like Hashimoto's. And I'm like, okay. I told my doctor at the time, I think I have Hashimoto's. And she's like, you don't. And she's like, and even if you did, it wouldn't really matter. Like, you're going to have it forever. Like, it's an autoimmune condition. So I was like, I need you to run the antibodies test. I need you to run the antibodies test. I need you to do a full thyroid panel. I was doing all of the back end research of it. And she was like, no, I'm not running the full panel. I don't think it's medically necessary. No. Eventually one day, mind you, I was yelling at this lady at one point. I was like,
Well,
no, you need to.
Here's the thing, like, this is what gets me so riled up, is that, like, first of all, lady, I'm paying you to be here. Like, I'm paying you through my insurance to be here. And if I'm advocating for my health on something that I think is necessary, like, why can't you just order it?
How are you going to tell me it's not medically necessary when I'm telling you my symptoms and they're all lined up with the symptoms of said thing?
Yeah.
That's what I never got, and I still don't get to this day. How is that not medically necessary if my symptoms are aligned with symptoms of said condition, or at least very similar?
Yeah.
You already know my period's fucked up. You already know
like,
what.
what's it to you? Like
I
an
know.
extra button to push to
I'm
order
like,
it?
are you
Like,
paying for it? Are you paying it for it out of your pocket?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what it seems like.
Crazy.
I'm like, did I take your card out of your wallet and like try to swipe it? Like, I'm confused. I genuinely didn't get it, and so I'm arguing with this lady. She finally did it, and my autoimmune, like my antibodies were through the freaking roof. They're supposed to be less than 25. Anti TPO, that's the marker. Please get it done. Anti TPO, and it was at like 900 on my first time ever running it.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh. And then she literally sent me an email. She didn't call me. You know how they're supposed to call you when you get results back that are abnormal? She emailed me. She's like, so your antibodies are high. You have Hashimoto's. There's really nothing you can do about it because it's autoimmune condition. That was her email. I literally could probably find it to this day. Like it was something so like that, and she never called me. And I switched my doctor after that, so I never saw her again. Thank God. And I complained about her to the Kaiser HR
Yeah.
people, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we get complaints about her every day."
Oh my gosh. So you were your own advocate
Yeah.
and got what you needed and figured it
Mhm.
out. That's
Yeah. So
amazing.
then from
Sometimes
there, I
it's
was
like
like,
that. Sometimes
need
that
to get.
sucks and it's like that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most like the most common route from what I hear from everybody that I'm sure you've also heard before, especially
Mhm.
like you doing the pelvic floor stuff. But I also feel like pelvic floor issues are so neglected too because everyone's just like, yeah, it's normal to get home and have to pee, blah 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 blah. You know, all the things that you've
So,
heard.
yeah.
I've heard the same thing about thyroid and about autoimmune conditions and about hormones and stuff. And you just like really realize that, yeah, people learn what they learn, and sometimes they just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think autoimmune conditions are one of the things that conventional healthcare usually doesn't know much about. And the doctor
Mhm.
that I ended up switching to for insurance purposes, like just to have someone to get stuff covered with insurance,
Mhm.
she tells me all the time, like, I'll run
Yeah.
whatever you want, but I can't necessarily like help you with some of these things.
Right. Yeah.
But I appreciate
So,
it, the
of course.
transparency. I'd rather
Yeah,
know than you don't know.
you need to have a healthcare provider that's like on your side and it's like healthcare help me, like it's not like you could only do it when I'm on my deathbed. Like
I
please
know.
be proactive with me.
Yeah.
So, what symptoms were you having? Like, what's Hashimoto's look like for an outsider or like an autoimmune? Like, what specifically were you struggling with at that time that you're like, please just run these tests for me? Because so many women are in this position. They're like, I'm struggling. I'm feeling this way and I don't feel right in this other way. And like, what if their doctor's not listening to them? Like, what should they be looking for? Like, what are red flags, I guess?
When when I suspected an autoimmune condition, what really stood out to me, on top of already the issues I already had, was I was deeply fatigued. I would put on an alarm to wake up for work at like 6, and I would snooze it, snooze it, snooze it, snooze it, snooze it, snooze it, snooze it. I can't even tell you how many times. I probably snooze it like 15 times. Obviously, that doesn't actually help anything. And you like fall back asleep and wake back up. You feel worse. But I was so tired, I just couldn't get up.
Yeah.
And that really stood out to me because, again, I was in my early 20s, just didn't make sense. And then also when I would exercise, when I would strength train, I was feeling really, really, really bad. I wasn't recovering well. I was so exhausted. Workouts made me feel worse. They did not energize me. They did not help me feel good. I felt really, really bad when I worked out. So I was really concerned about that because I loved strength training. And that was in the era where I really wanted to lift really heavy. I was really into like
Yeah.
Olympic lifting vibes.
And also too, like those are the things that give you energy. Like
I
realistically at the end of the
know.
day, when you have more strength and when you're strength training, like you have more energy
Right.
than
And like it
sedentary
should make you
lifestyle.
feel better. Yes, it's tiring and it
Yeah.
is exerting on the body, and you have to recover, but I wasn't recovering. I knew I wasn't recovering. Sleep wasn't recovering me. I was very, very, very fatigued. So that's what one of the main things I was looking at. Plus Hashimoto's can also play a role with irregular periods too. So that was kind of like overlapping the PCOS. So there was just some things
Do
that
those two go
really,
together commonly? Like if you have PCOS, like you have an increased risk of Hashimoto's.
yeah.
Why? Because I know that PCOS is like insulin resistance and there's obviously a lot of things that play into it, but like why are those two linked?
So the research shows that women that do get diagnosed with PCOS are not always born with PCOS, but when they have PCOS, they also are likely to have the gene of autoimmune condition. Sometimes it's not Hashimoto's, but Hashimoto's and PCOS I see all the time.
Mm,
So just more susceptible to it. It could be the blood sugar stuff, but it's also like it's just a metabolic condition. So the metabolism being thrown off in the way that it is from PCOS, some people don't even have insulin resistance. Some people don't even have blood sugar dysregulation. Some people have amazing blood sugar, but they just have hormonal imbalances in other ways. Like they have high DHEAS, or they have high testosterone, but sometimes they have regular periods. Like some women are just getting diagnosed PCOS because they have the ovarian cysts or the little cystic pockets. But even with normal periods, I have clients that are diagnosed with PCOS with never having an irregular cycle in their life. But because they have
differently, everybody can look differently.
Yeah, it can look different. So it's not a one size fits all. And I think that's something really, really important because people will say, oh, like I thought I had this, but someone told me that they have this and they have it, so I don't have it. I think there's so much of us comparing ourselves to somebody else's symptoms and thinking, well, our symptoms are so different, it can't be that. But sometimes it can. And Hashimoto's is weird too, because some of my clients with Hashimoto's have like really impossible times, like losing weight and really, really bad temperature dysregulation. And then there's like, I've never really struggled with some of those things. So it doesn't always look the same. And I feel like I don't even fit the regular like Hashimoto's box that someone may try to put you in of like, oh, I wouldn't think that you had that, but you just don't know. You really can't see it from the outside like perspective. It's truly what is going on inside and with other dysregulated areas. But it's so related to nervous system. It's so related to your gut. It's so related to inflammation, all of it. PCOS, Hashimoto's, autoimmune stuff, because an autoimmune condition can only be onset by having the genetic piece and then a stressor. So what is the stressor?
Yeah.
That will look
So are
different
you
for everyone.
seeing, so have you ever looked into the trends of like PCOS and like Hashimoto's? Because like obviously we live in like a toxic world now. But there's also like an argument to like, yes, we live in a toxic world, but do we become more apt to or adapted to the toxins? Like our bodies keep up with it. We're better at excreting it. That piece, but also do you see this trend of like everybody's getting it? Everybody's getting some level of it. Everyone has different symptoms, diagnoses of it. Like where did this trend come from? Like what do you think is like contributing to like so many more people being diagnosed with either PCOS or Hashimoto's, even if they don't have the gene specifically?
That's really hard to say. I do feel like more people now are poor detoxers. People are detoxing worse. Like people are excreting toxins worse. People are way more congested with like their liver and having more toxin burden overload that's not getting out. Like more people are constipated now than like I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So just even looking at that alone, like that's going to exacerbate everything else and make things more and more like everything will only get worse from there because it's like the sewer that doesn't get cleaned out. Like
That's
your
a good way to put
neighborhood.
it, a sewer. Like your liver and like your digestive tract is literally the sewer that
Yeah.
gets rid of everything.
Yes. I tell my clients, like, imagine you all in your neighborhood are putting your trash out on Mondays or whatever day the trash guy comes, and he just doesn't come at all. But the trash keeps filling. The trash keeps filling because guess what? Every week you got more trash in there. Now what? The whole freaking neighborhood is filled with garbage. And that's what's happening in your body when you're not pooping, when you're not sweating, when your liver is not excreting toxins out because it's overburdened with toxins from so many different things, not just alcohol. I think the liver just everyone always thinks alcohol, which yes, a huge one, but even ultra processed foods, even high amounts of sugar, even toxins from sometimes even synthetic fragrance, things that we're exposed to that like keep adding up. And if it can't get out, you just end up in a freaking garbage filled body. But that I think that plays a role with more and more people getting diagnosed. But I also think now more and more people are searching for answers and maybe getting diagnoses that they should have gotten a long time ago that maybe they weren't getting because they were just told like, oh, whatever, or you don't have that, or maybe they never sought help either. It's hard to say. It's kind of like the IBS thing, like IBS and PCOS. I feel like now they're just like, oh, you have irregular periods, PCOS. Oh, you have constipation, IBS. So sometimes it's also just like not even a formal diagnosis. It's just like must be this.
Yeah. So, okay. So for the listeners that are like, okay, I identify with some of these symptoms. How can somebody know if they are like me, for example? Like I struggle with regular bowel movements, right? So like every single day on the like clockwork, no, not happening. Probably if not unless I have like a coffee and a slow morning and like
Totally.
the life is not like slow and I can't do that every single
Yeah.
day. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I have such a busy day today. I have to get out of the house and work out at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. Otherwise, it's not happening today. So it's like, I don't have time to slow it down and wait for a bowel movement. So if someone is, or me, is like constipated or like skin issues and things like that, like, yes, they sauna. Yes, maybe they're having somewhat regular bowel movements. Like, what else can they do? How are we detoxing?
Yeah, that's a good question because even sometimes, like when you're a poor detoxer, even things like sauna, and I'm a big infrared sauna fan. I love it so much. I have one in my studio. I'm like a sauna. This is me to saunas. But if
Mhm.
you're a poor detoxer, even sometimes when you're doing the sauna, things are just recirculating in the body and not actually getting out. So something like even using a binder can be helpful. And this is something generally the general public, even without being on a specific protocol, can do to help because a
Mm.
binder is just like a supplement that's going to help grab toxins and help take it out. That could be helpful. But really, a good rule of thumb is like supporting your liver, cruciferous veg. I know we've talked about that before. Like stuff you can do in your diet, cruciferous veg, fiber, and having fiber above 25 grams per day, that's going to help bind to the stuff and actually start taking it out.
Mm.
Like you mentioned too, exercising. Of course, exercise is a stimulant on the body. It should also help move things along, but sometimes it's just not enough. Like sometimes you can do the exercise and you're like, hey, I still don't have to poop.
Yeah.
Breath work, like there are different ways to kind of stimulate it, but I really try to have clients like not rely on the coffee and the matcha and stuff because then when you take it out, your body is like, hello,
Or
like
even
we
laxatives, right? Or laxatives and like enemas. Like a lot of people are like resulting to enemas now, coffee enemas.
yeah. And when you rely on these things, like your body really does struggle to do it on its own. So easing into like really addressing the fiber intake, like not just assuming you're eating enough fiber, like start tracking it. I know a lot of women track protein, which is awesome. And I think that's a great tool to just see where the heck you're at. When you're looking at that too, look at your fiber because I think a lot of people think high protein foods are high fiber and sometimes high protein foods have no fiber. And
Mm-hmm.
like if you're not looking at your fiber, you could easily, and I'm not even kidding, this is not even me being dramatic, you could easily be eating like 10 grams of fiber a day.
Totally.
Even
Especially
with a
like on an
healthy,
animal-based diet or like carnivore diet, like you're eating no fiber.
yeah,
I
on
tried
a
the carnivore
healthy
diet
diet.
and I was constipated for a week.
Courtney, I remember, but are you
Yeah.
off you're off the animal now?
No, I don't do the carnivore diet. Carnivore diet
Carnivore.
because I couldn't
That's what I meant.
poop.
Okay, see, because lack of
Yeah.
fiber. It's lack of fiber, and without the fibrous rich foods, like there's nothing to bind to the
No,
stuff. So everything is just kind of hanging out. And if we're not taking the
literally
trash out, you're gonna feel worse and
welling
worse
up.
and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
addressing fiber and taking that seriously for sure.
absolutely. So let's talk about PCOS. What are some things that you're looking for in someone who has PCOS that may be missed in like traditional testing? Like, what are the outlier things? Not like, okay, let's just look at your estrogen to progesterone to testosterone, because women have probably tested those things, but like,
Totally.
what are some things that you're looking for? And then what are some things that you can implement right away that it's like, yes, PCOS girly, you need this?
Yeah. So I think something that a lot of people, some type of PCOS that a lot of people are not familiar with is like adrenal PCOS.
Mm.
And that is more when your DHEAS, which is a male hormone produced by our ovaries, we all have this. That's when that's elevated. So your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone can be perfect, but your DHEAS could be high. And when your
Mm.
DHEAS is high, that also affects your cortisol and your cortisol production, regulation. So a lot of women that do have something like PCOS might not know they have PCOS because they've done the traditional estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and no one's ever tested their DHEAS, or they've never done an ultravaginal ultrasound, which I don't do because I don't do that. You have to go to a provider that does like OBGYN. But when you get the ultra, I think I just butchered that word. Now I just said something else.
Ultrasound?
What is it called? The intravaginal.
Yeah.
I said ultravaginal. And I was like, that's not right. Intravaginal ultrasound to address if there are the cystic pockets that they're looking for. That's 2 of 3. You either have to have the irregular cycles, you have to have some type of either high estrogen or high DHEAS. And I do feel like the DHEAS is always missed and not even ran at all. So sometimes that's missing. But your regular periods have to be over 6 months, and then and or polycystic ovaries. So I just feel like the cortisol part of it is really important. I do think most women that have PCOS have or have had some type of deeper cortisol dysregulation. It's a very stressful condition to have on the body. It's very pro-inflammatory. So it is like causing just tons and tons and tons of inflammation all the time. And that's why one of the most common things you hear with someone with PCOS is with their weight or with feeling puffy. That's like the 2 things I hear all the time. I can't lose weight because I have PCOS. I'm puffy and inflamed no matter what I do, no matter how healthy I eat, no matter how much water and workouts, blah, 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 blah. Like just those things, because it's just like inflammation.
Well, what about if you see it, someone who's been chronically stressed for so long, do they just stop producing cortisol? And then do you see it on the other side where it's just like they don't make any cortisol and they still have PCOS?
Yeah, because
over time, doesn't your body adapts? You're like, girl, you already have enough cortisol, but I don't need to make any more. And then you're just like in adrenal insufficiency.
No, that's so true. Because when you are producing too much, and then at some point you're up here and you're like producing way too much because you're just in a heightened state. This is like when you're in like an acute stress phase, like you're in an active stress period that is prolonged. Like let's say a few months of like something, which could be anything. And I want people to know that too. It's not just like the crisis, or it's not just like death. And I think people think of like the worst possible things that could happen to you.
Yeah.
This is also like financial issues.
Yeah.
This is also relationship.
Road rage.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
Kids yelling in the background. Like any stressor of life. Like if you're not like happy-go-lucky in a field.
Like, and you're up here
for
whatever reason for too long, eventually it has to make its way down. And then your body's like, hey, we actually don't have it to produce anymore. And or you might even be someone that goes like this, where cortisol's like high and then it's low a couple hours later, then it's high, then it's low. I've seen that so many times on like a Dutch test, but eventually it stops producing appropriately. And when you have adrenal burnout, that's when you're like low down here. Let's say normal's here, high's here. You're like here, you're exhausted. And that's also what I was experiencing, that you just reminded me, when I had the Hashimoto's thing. I was so exhausted. And then when I did a Dutch test, my cortisol was like flatlined at the bottom the whole way. So all day I was exhausted, no matter what I did, no matter what I ate, no matter if I worked out, no matter if I slept 10,000 million hours. Like I was low to the floor because my cortisol now wasn't producing enough. And that happens with PCOS. So it's not just high cortisol. It can also be low cortisol. It can also be adrenal burnout, adrenal fatigue, whatever you want to call it. Those are interchangeable. Essentially, that's just the adrenal glands not producing enough cortisol. So I see that all the time, just cortisol dysregulation in whatever capacity that is. And that's why there's no like box of like, you must be here.
Yeah.
We have to look at like different markers. We have to look at blood work markers. And it's ideal if we look at like a Dutch test. I know sometimes not always possible, but at least look at blood work and on the specific days that are beneficial. Because if you're doing I just want to say this before I forget. If you're doing blood work for your hormones, you never ever just want to randomly go. You want it to be on the 21st day of your cycle or the 3rd, depending on what you're looking at. Like if you're looking at peak hormones, when things are at their highest before they drop, you're going to want to do day 21 of your cycle. Meaning if I got my period 21 days ago, day 1, I would do it today.
Oh yeah. Smart.
That's when things are like heightened. Otherwise, what happens is people are testing their hormones on like random days. Let's say I just tested on day 10. And then I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you look at your blood work, it's like follicular range, luteal range, ovulatory range. They don't break that down for you. They're not going to say, what phase of your cycle were you in? Let's see. Like, no, you just get the results back. And then you're on the graph and you're like perfectly in the graph and everyone's like, cool. But if you don't know what part of your phase you're in, it's irrelevant data. It's like not even worth getting. So day 21 is going to show peak, which is very important for anybody who has suspected or has PCOS to see what the heck's going on. And then day 3 is more of like baseline. That's like actively on your period, like a lower point. That's also a good day too, of like day 3 of your bleed when you're actively bleeding.
Yeah.
I know again, though, with PCOS, it's so hard to plan the days because if your cycle is not regular,
irregular. Yeah.
That's the hardest part. So I always just try to like if you have a provider that allows you to put your request in and go on the said day, like you choose and you can just walk into the lab and your order's already in, that's ideal because then you can go based off of your cycle and like plan it out in real time versus like making an appointment and like you have to do it on said date because you might not know when the heck you're getting it.
Totally. That's hard. Okay, so what are the non-negotiable tests that someone should get? Like if they've done the traditional testing, so you're saying Dutch, you've done the GI map, like are those like the gold standards? You're like, hey, at least do these two. Like, or are there other ones that you're like, oh, test these as well?
My top three generally, if you're having period problems, gut issues, low energy, fatigue, mood swings, acne, skin issues in other capacities, whether that's like eczema, rashes, autoimmune suspected or autoimmune conditions that you are diagnosed with. Like if you're in any of that criteria in any capacity, GI map to test your poop to see what the heck's going on in your gut. Dutch test, which is a urine sample that looks at your hormones throughout the day and your cortisol, which are also hormones, but it looks at sex hormones and cortisol and melatonin at the night. It's just really, really, really helpful. And it's a 4-point test. So it's different than blood work. It's not just like a snapshot of that moment. It's 4 different times in your day, which I love because blood work just gives you the then and now, which can be influenced by so many things. Like if you literally had the worst morning of your life and took your cortisol test, it is going to be inaccurate versus when you do on urine.
Yeah.
And then mineral testing with the HTMA. Love the HTMA. That's a hair sample. You send it in. It looks at mineral levels at a cellular level, like calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, zinc, copper, heavy metals, selenium, just stuff you wouldn't get accurate results on in blood work, except iron. Iron's on there too, but iron is wrong in the hair. Iron you would see in the blood. So some minerals are best looked at in the blood, like iron.
So iron is best to do in the blood.
Iron in the blood,
Makes
vitamin D
sense,
in the
right?
blood. What'd you say?
Makes sense, right? Because that's where your iron's carried in
Yeah,
the blood.
but in the HTMA, iron is tested, but it looks the same for every single person. Like every single person's on there, it's going to be super duper low because and it's not accurate. So if you were to look at that at face value, you're like, oh my god, I'm anemic. Like no, you need to look at like your iron storage, your iron saturation, but
Okay.
your ferritin. Oh my gosh, I can't say enough for women to test their ferritin. But yeah, other minerals that are wrong or not as accurate or um not as informational in the grand scheme of things in blood would be your magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium. Like,
Okay.
for example, on the hair tissue mineral analysis, you could have a calcium shell, which is way too much calcium. That essentially is like your calcium is not being absorbed by the bones in the teeth. It's just hanging out in your hair. So it causes a lot of like emotional dysregulation and distress. But then if you did if you did a calcium test in the blood, it's going to say that you're deficient because technically you are because your calcium is not being absorbed. But if you just went based off the blood work and it says you're deficient and someone gives you a calcium supplement, but you have too much calcium on your hair test because it's just hanging out in your hair and hanging out in your organs and random places in your body that it shouldn't be, you're going to create a worse problem with calcium shell. And I see that a lot. So you have to actually get calcium to go back to where it needs to go.
Wow,
So,
this is such a good topic that you just brought up the calcium thing because obviously, like perimenopause, menopause, we're looking at osteopenia, osteoporosis, and
yes.
like all of that. Like, so this is a test. Like, if you're listening and you're in like perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, this would be a great test to do to see how well like you're actually absorbing calcium for bone density.
Mm-hmm. Because I have had so many clients in menopause specifically, some peri too, but menopause specifically that were told to just take calcium and their problems got worse and worse and worse. And then when we did the HTMA, calcium shell, like crazy. Like, for example, they say above 160, this is just a number so you guys can visualize this, is called the petrified pattern because it's really bad. Like it makes you feel really terrible. Like you are like having an out of body experience, like emotionally dysregulated, anxiety, depression, like no other, kind of randomly too. Like not something you've had for like 10 plus years. It just kind of comes when it comes. And if you were to throw calcium on top of that, you're going to feel so much worse. So yeah, the HTMA is awesome. I really highly recommend for any type of, if you're diagnosed with any type of like bone or joint types of things, because it also causes extreme joint pain when you're in a calcium shell. because your calcium's not going to the bones and
Yeah.
teeth. It's going into your random organs in the body, and it's like hanging out and causing issues. It's not being
Wow.
absorbed. Yeah,
Okay. Good to know.
I know.
So
We could literally go on a tangent
I
about who
know.
knows what.
I
Okay,
have
getting
more
back on
questions
track.
about the thyroid though. So
Yeah.
thyroid issues also fly under the radar sometimes. I feel like doctors are testing TSH and like the anti-TPO that you mentioned, but like what signs do you wish women knew to catch them earlier? Like what are you seeing in people, and like even my thyroid looks normal. Like I've gotten it tested maybe like a year ago and I just got it redone again, but a year ago my provider was like it could be optimized, but it's like normal. So then she's like, okay, you could do like castor oil packs on your neck and like certain supplements. So like what are things that women should think about to catch issues before it becomes an issue?
That's a good question. That's hard because the thyroid is so influenced by kind of a lot of things, and it's like a master hormone. But
So describe first, like for the listeners, like what is the thyroid? Like how is it so why is it so important for hormone production?
yeah, it's like a butterfly shaped little guy in our right here,
In our neck.
and little guy right here, butterfly shaped, and it produces a lot of hormones. So it produces the thyroid stimulating hormone. It produces other hormones, T3, T4, and they all play they're like a role. They all have a job. Like they're just all working, but they are like your master regulator, like weight, temperature. Like seriously, my mom got her thyroid taken out like years and years ago. This lady's always frozen. Like at my
Mm,
house could be 100 degrees and she's cold and with a sweatshirt on. So it's like your thyroid plays a huge role into how you feel, but it also plays a role with your appetite. It also plays a role into your sex drive. It also plays a role into libido. It is very important. So I think signs like to catch a thyroid issue, one, make sure you're always getting a full thyroid panel done. I really truly think sometimes the other like the symptoms can sneak past you because of everyone saying like it's kind of normal, but get a full thyroid panel done. If you struggle with any type of like fatigue, hunger, like abnormal hunger, or weight problems, period issues, again still plays a role. I would get a full thyroid panel done. I just think it's most providers do the TSH and that's it. And they're like, cool, call it a day. We did thyroid stimulating hormone. But if you don't look at T3, reverse T3, free T4, total free T4, anti TPO, thyroid, what's it called? Anti TG, which is thyroid globulin. Some doctors just put TG and some people put thyroid globulin. That's like the thyroid panel. Like that's a lot of things. Like that's a lot of criteria. And so when they just put
yeah.
TSH, it's like a very small piece of the puzzle. It matters, but without the other data, you can't even like you don't even know what
No.
that really is saying. Because
Yeah.
someone can have a perfect TSH in the range and other things are thrown off, or they have Hashimoto's. And then we don't know the preventative parts of like what to do to address it. So helping the thyroid, minerals that help the thyroid are going to be things like selenium. So something that this is an easy thing. You don't have to take random supplements blindly. Even like 2 Brazil nuts a day have enough selenium
Oh,
for
that's
our
like
entire
trending
day.
right now. Like everybody's eating their Brazil nuts.
Yeah, I used to do it for a while, but for me, supplementing worked better because I just like didn't want to eat them.
Yeah.
But like an easy way without having to add another supplement to your supplement
Just go get
list,
some Brazil nuts at
Brazil
Costco.
nuts,
They
two
sell
a
them in a
day.
huge bag.
Yeah, 2 a day gives you enough selenium that you need an entire day. Where most people don't get enough selenium, and a selenium deficiency can make your thyroid function worse. And then castor oil in the thyroid is also great, especially if you have like hypothyroid, slow thyroid. Was your thyroid on the slow side or is fast? Do you remember?
Call. I don't remember.
I don't recall. It probably was maybe on the
Yeah.
slower side, I'm guessing, if she said the castor oil, but
Yeah. It
yeah,
was
either
like
way,
within like even functional range. It was like within normal, but she's like, you could optimize it. Like just like make it always function better, you know? Like put a little hot pack or the castor oil pack. And I'm like, everybody in their damn castor oil packs. Like
I
I'm gonna be
know, I
castor
love
oil
castor
packing my entire body by
castor
the end
oil,
of
the
this.
whole body at this point. I love castor oil packs, but I understand sometimes these like tools can feel just like another chore on your to-do list. So
Well,
I feel
that's the thing. Like, and we should talk about this because like wellness there's so many layers to it, and like
I agree.
it's a full-time job. When you're like trying to heal your body, it's like, holy shit, I have 20 check boxes to do every day. Like, why is it so hard to be well? And then
I
like you
know.
see people that are just like, screw it, I just am gonna take this pill and I don't gotta do all those 20 check boxes instead. You know, it's like so hard. Like,
But you
why
know
is it?
what though? What I notice is like we do all these things and add all these things to our to-do list that are healthy to feel better. But like if you really, really look at it, like sometimes you feel worse because of
Yes.
how either like because you're still dysregulated. Like even if the
Yes.
to-do list is all healthy things and you literally had nothing else to do today, like your whole day but healthy to-do list check boxes, it's still overwhelming and it's still stressful. And the body, like I feel like that's why when you look at the people around you that probably maybe don't even work out consistent, this is crazy to say, that probably don't even work out consistently, probably eat whatever they want and have a decent job that pays the bills and they live a life that they enjoy. They go to concerts and they like, I'm kind of describing my partner. This is how they are. Just like chilling, happy, and nothing else really matters. Like doesn't take life too seriously. No problem. No
Literally.
health issues, no symptoms, no issues. Every day energized, like life is good. Because I do think sometimes people that want to be well will do the freaking most. But those people are also usually the people that are very chronically dysregulated and have a past of being chronically dysregulated. So these to-do list things keep you dysregulated.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that it adds up too much. There's too
Yeah,
many pieces of the pie that
too
like need to
many.
be, yeah, it's like,
Take it back to what people were doing back in the day before all these things existed.
yeah,
Although I love the tools we have now and I'm so grateful for them. Take it way back and people were working whatever job they were working, doing whatever they were doing, and they were eating healthy food and they were getting a lot of movement in and they were happy with community, spending time with people. Literally, like neighbors used to really like be together and like used to help the families and stuff. Like people weren't as isolated and everyone was okay. And also, if you look back generations, like my mom, I'm adopted and my mom is 87. Her generation lived really, really long. I just saw like when we were in the hospital recently, the lady next to her is 98. That generation lives long.
yeah,
And then we look at now, people are really unwell in their 50s, by 50s, with really, really bad things. And what changed? Like, what really changed?
I know. It's like, I know that we have like a more toxic environment and there's more things at play and like we're more sedentary than ever. Like there's a lot of just like bad things that are happening in the environment, but I feel like our generation is getting the short end of the stick because we're also the generation that's like wellness.
Wants to wants to feel
Like,
well, genuinely.
yeah. And then like it's like, but we grew up in a generation that wasn't well.
Mhm.
So we're in this like fine battle between the two. And it's like, you know what? Some days I just want to kick back and not do shit. Like I just want to sit. And I don't want to do my wellness routine and I don't want to do all this because it's like, for what?
I know.
Sometimes I feel worse.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
guess
silly.
what? Those
Yeah.
days that you probably kick back and do nothing are
Feel
probably
great.
not saying they're better for you than that like you exercise. Like
Yeah.
there's such nuance to this topic because like we're doing too much.
Yeah.
So the times when you are just taking this step back and like being present and doing the things that people were doing back in the days when they were bored as hell with no phones, what were people doing? They were either
Yeah.
talking to someone else or doing something else to kill some time, but they weren't like dissociating into the land of the darkness. Okay. So like that's a big part. I really truly think that's a big part. And obviously we run
Yeah.
businesses and we're on the internet. Okay. That's not
Yeah.
changing. But like what we do with our time and like um yeah, what's on our list. Sometimes we do need the kickback, chill,
Yeah.
relax.
I'm just like, I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it. I'll go for my walk. I'll get some
Yes,
sunshine. I'll drink my
yes,
water. I'll eat my vegetables. And I'm
exactly.
going to lay my ass on my couch.
And that sometimes is like the
I
like
feel
part the
better.
puzzle. Yes, that's the piece of the puzzle sometimes because it's forcing you to like, hey, I'm still doing stuff. Like it's not just saying, hey, just sit on the couch and watch TV all day. It's like, no, I'm like intentionally doing some of the things, and then I'm like not stressing about my 20,000 to do list. I do think that the 20,000 wellness to do list makes you feel worse, if not just
Mhm.
as shitty.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard
100%.
way too. I've like done all the tools in the toolbox. And
Yeah.
some of the things I stick to, like the sauna, easy peasy. I love a good sauna. But like some things that I just like had to take off the list, like
100%.
There was too many damn things.
I know, right?
Too many.
So last couple questions here. If someone's because I really want to discuss this, but like if someone's like um anxious and like depressed and like is really struggling mentally, what how much of it is gut? Like because a lot of times SSRIs are the solution, right? Like or for me like ADHD like symptoms, get on Adderall. First of all, I'm very focused when I want to be, but then there are the times I'm anxious and that makes me less focused. So if I have a parasite, like obviously that can play a role, but like what is the gut doing to our mental health? Can you explain that kind of like connection?
Yeah, the
And
gut.
one hold on really quick
Oh,
before
yeah.
I even move on that. But like yes, it like plays a role in the mental health, but like how much of is it in our head versus our gut? And like should we take a medication or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And ooh, that's a big one. That's a big topic.
Let's unpack
So
that.
yeah, let's unpack it. I mean, 70% of our immune system's in our gut, and our dopamine and serotonin production are also from our gut. Like our gut literally communicates to our brain to produce happy hormones, to produce motivated hormones. Our brain chemicals, yes, they sometimes are off balance, and that's where then they say, okay, you don't have enough dopamine, you don't have enough serotonin, take the medication to increase. But a big portion of what's going on in your mental health is coming from your gut. And like a big portion, and I don't know the exact percentage, but I would bet to say probably similarly to like the immune system, like we're looking at a good 60% to 70% of what's going on in the gut microbiome. I'm like pretty positive on that. But you can kind of tell, like, you can kind of tell. That's why it plays such a big role if you really talk to some people that are experiencing, and I'm not saying this is the case for everybody. And I know that it's, again, this is another nuanced topic and it can feel very overwhelming. But if you talk to a lot of people that have struggled for a really long time with depression and anxiety and really take a look at their normal day to day with what they eat, you can usually find a big piece of the puzzle
Mm-hmm.
because our gut is so influenced by what we eat and what we consume. So if we're eating really high sugary diets, which is usually linked with depression, usually not always, but high sugar diets and high ultra processed foods are usually linked with sugar and depression because sugar and depression, what? Anxiety and depression, because it goes around in circles. Obviously, if you're depressed and anxious, you're
Yeah.
you're less likely to eat a certain way because you're going to want
Like if I'm
happiness.
depressed and anxious, I'm not reaching for a Brussels sprout, okay?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
I'm reaching for that
So
chocolate.
exactly. You're looking for something that's going to give you a quick hit of
Dopamine. Yeah.
happiness. So if
Yes.
you're so depressed and anxious and you're looking for something to give you that, and we just go in the circle. So if we start with making the dietary changes, which I know is really hard because again, we end up in that loop, making the dietary changes, taking down added sugars and switching up the types of food we eat, even if it's not all perfect organic and like cooking and hours worth of cooking a day. Okay. Keeping it simple. Like we go very simple. Even in already prepared meals, if we take it back and just get more ingredients focused and less sugar, like you will notice mental health changes. There's no way around it. Like there's
Absolutely.
no way. If you talked like, and I worked with this rehab outpatient program with recently incarcerated individuals that have been on medications for their life. Like they have so much trauma and they've been addicted to substances and they're on strong medications. And if you take a look at their diet and lifestyle, they're one, very sedentary, but two, there's not everybody, again, nuanced topic. A lot of them are very sedentary and a lot of them eat really ultra processed foods and high sugars because that's another thing with addiction is you want sugars that
Yes.
they literally give you in rehab candy. Like in rehab you get candy to just
Mm-hmm.
like wean off of the effects. So it's like when we stay in that loop, we stay depressed and anxious because our gut is not helping our brain do what it needs to do to have happy chemicals, to feel motivated. You just feel the same, low and
Yeah.
like slumped. And it's just like this big cycle. So I say start with the sugar. If you got to pick one thing, start with the sugar. And that's another thing like the fiber, track your sugar intake, added sugar,
Yeah.
not sugar from fruit, and you might surprise yourself because again we underestimate everything. We always underestimate. We underestimate how many calories
Absolutely.
we eat. We overestimate how much fiber and protein and sugar we eat. That's just how it is,
Absolutely.
especially especially with all the places we have down the streets that are drive-throughs. All those have added sugar too.
Yeah.
The hamburgers, All of it. They add sugar
All
to everything to make it more satiating for like, not satiating, it's not filling, but more, what's the word? More satisfying on
satisfying.
your taste buds. Your
Yeah.
taste buds communicate to your brain. We like that. Cool. It was good. We got to hit a
Back.
dopamine, and then it goes back down.
Yep. And then we come back and we do it all over again.
Yeah.
That's such a good
It's
point.
addicting.
I mean, the gut brain axis, like it's a huge thing. It's a huge connection. And some of us might be like just like unsure on where to start. Like if they're like, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm either anxious, I'm depressed, and like sometimes it's just really hard to pull yourself out
Totally.
and make healthy decisions. So sometimes too, like reaching for a fruit or a vegetable or like protein packed meal is not
That's
always the first
terrible.
option, but
Yeah.
hearing this makes you just realize that like, oh, it really is connected. And no matter how hard it might be in those moments, I'm going to feel better after if I just make this small sacrifice right now versus not doing it. So
And also, like what you start your morning with is
yes,
what makes or breaks your day.
the whole
Like
day.
my mom, she's older. We gave up on trying to help her with her health. Okay, but she's like, she
Yeah.
starts her day on like a coffee cake and like literally just like a coffee cake, no protein. She doesn't eat any protein.
She's
Coffee cake and
87. She's
coffee.
been around the block. She's been doing
Exactly.
this
I'm
for
like, whatever.
87
She can do
years.
whatever she wants. But if the average
Yeah.
person my age in their 30s or 20s is starting their day on a coffee cake and coffee, you're signaling to your body one, blood sugar spike, no protein to help stabilize your blood sugar, stimulant. All this first thing in the morning, you have no choice but to become dysregulated throughout the day because you will crash. There was nothing to keep it stable. So everything goes like this. You feel good in the moment. You're like, cool, that was bomb. And then you're like, whoa, a couple hours
Yeah.
later, why am I so tired? Why am I yawning and it's 11 o'clock? Why am I hangry? I'm so moody. I'm irritable. I'm fighting with people. I'm like argumentative, whatever. Like all this is happening. You're like, what the hell happened? Like start with your morning. Like if you can navigate your morning into a higher protein, less sugary breakfast before you have any matcha or coffee, before you get the Starbucks with all the pumps, okay?
Hmm.
Reel it back. Start there. Start there, and your day
Good
will be much
steps.
more easier to navigate. I promise. Starting with the morning. Like what you do in the
I love
morning
that.
makes or breaks everything.
These
Truly.
are really actionable steps. I love that you're providing everybody with this because it's really not like a long 2020 thing checklist that like some people have like worked up their wellness routines to be. Like these are literally just small actionable steps that you can actually get started with right now. So, last question. What's one rule, piece of advice, or small blueprint that you were told as a little girl growing up, maybe with your mother who has has her own habits
Yeah.
and things that she's done, or as an older adult that you've thrown out, and what did you replace it with?
Um, you know, my mom was very much in like the diet culture. I mean, real bad. We always had the low calorie tortillas and like my mom even told me don't even eat avocado because it was too much calories. Like that was the vibes growing up. Like we were an ingredient household for sure. We were not a meal household. We just had random stuff.
Yeah.
Which obviously caused so much dysfunction with my relationship to food. But one thing I was told is like I was always on a low carb diet because of weight stuff. Like my mom was like against carbs, which is so funny now. She eats like shit, but she like really like she literally eats no protein. But growing up, she like always wanted to be skinnier and thinner. She would weigh herself every day. She was like carbs are the devil, and that is also something I heard when I got diagnosed with PCOS. That's the
Mm.
first thing I was told besides get on birth control was well you're carb sensitive so you can't have carbs. Like if you have PCOS, you can't eat carbs. I would
Mm.
I would say what I have learned over the years professionally and personally is that instead of demonizing carbs, like just carbs blankly, because let's also let's remember vegetables are also carbs.
Hmm.
Like what are we actually talking about? Are we just talking about ultra processed food? Yes, I think we should all reduce our ultra processed foods. Do we all need to reduce carbs drastically? No. But what I would rather people focus on is like increasing their protein and fiber. And what I wish I would have done sooner is like increasing real food protein, not the I was on a very much like what's it called? Fake meat kick. What's it called? Beyond meat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too.
Because everyone would tell you like eating meat was really bad, whatever.
Totally.
I would eat like Beyond Meat and who knows what processed fake meats. I would rather you guys just eat real protein, meat, fish, tofu. I don't care. Real protein. Get it up over 100 grams a day. I know it sounds crazy if you are not there right now, but that's the goal. Over 100 grams a day and get your fiber up to at least 25 grams per day. Like that will save you from so many health issues faster than just saying, gotta go keto again
Yep.
and again and again and again. And like, oh, it feels good in the beginning and then it feels terrible. So like, instead of that, if you want to get off that roller coaster ride, focus on your protein and fiber, real protein sources, real fiber sources, which is going to force you to eat more veggies because that's a big way you're going to get fiber in. And a win is a win. And worry less about the carbs, but focus on the ultra processed foods. Try to go and drive throughs less. Yes. That's your goal, and make it like a tangible amount. Like if you're going to drive through every single day, maybe increasing that to 2 times a week. Like make a number.
Yeah.
Make a number.
Actual goals.
Yes. Yeah. Real goals. Like you can't just say, I'm going to do it less and I'm going to work out more and I'm going to eat more protein. How much? Like make a set amount for yourself and go based off of that. So it's measurable and truly something you can follow up on. Like, is it something you were able to accomplish or no? And if not, make a adjustment. But instead of just like more of this, less of that, make a specific.
It has to be very specific. Yeah. All goals need to be specific. If they're not specific, you're never going to attain them. I love that.
Never. And then we just run in this loop of like, oh, I was going to do more of this and less of this, but there was never a real goal set in place, a SMART goal. No. So create the SMART goal. And now we're at the end of the year. Like we have a couple months left. Like this is a great time to start planning out what your SMART goals are. You don't have to wait till the first of the year.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And what does that look like so that we can start feeling better? Because at the end of the day, if you're watching this and Courtney and I we want health. Like if you're watching this, you're probably somebody that wants to be healthy or wants to feel healthier or wants to feel better in your body. So it's like, what needs to change? Like something
absolutely
has to change. What is it?
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. This was such a great conversation. I think a lot of people need to just kind of hear it and meditate on it and listen. So if they want to learn more about these certain topics or things from you, where can they find you and follow you?
On Instagram. Actually, my Instagram and TikTok are the same, Rachel Mae Wellness, but on Instagram there's a period, so Rachel Mae period wellness. TikTok, Rachel Mae Wellness. Those are the main platforms that I'm active on.
Amazing. And you also have a studio. Where are you located?
I do in Palmdale, California. So I'm like an hour-ish from LA. I have a holistic fitness and wellness studio that just opened in July, which is crazy.
It looks so good. I'm so proud of you for doing that. Oh my
gosh, it's been so freaking cool. Life-changing. Like I'm just so glad I finally did it. But yeah, we have strength training classes, mat Pilates classes, yoga, infrared sauna, red light therapy, and then I also run my functional labs there. So really cool.
Amazing. Yay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod today. And I can't wait for everybody to listen to this episode.
Yay. Thanks, Courtney.
If you guys like this episode, don't forget to follow the Female Blueprint podcast and leave a 5-star review. It really helps me reach more women who need to hear these messages. And if someone popped into your mind while you were listening today, maybe a friend, a sister, a client, share this episode with them. You never know how much it might help them feel less alone or even be the nudge that they need to finally start rewriting the blueprint for their own life. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being a part of this community. I'll see you in the next episode.